The Gemini Man, character and sexuality. He is constantly on the move, hyperactively jumping from one place to another, from one person to another, from one activity to another. Restless and nervous, he is not content with living one day at a time, but trying to squeeze a week or a month into 24 hours. He is living on different levels at the same time. Whatever he likes to do, he longs to do something else. He revels in contradictions. A woman cannot even be sure if he really likes her because he always acts contradictory. While he is showering her with attention, maybe she is totally indifferent to him. What kind of feelings he may have remains uncertain. He seeks to disguise them whenever possible. He detests timetables. They are unbearable to him. You cannot expect him to comply with mealtimes, or to go to sleep at a set hour. He does not like to be some kind of a prisoner of the clock. He is exceptionally smart and is verbally talented. And how much he talks. He enjoys hearing himself talk very much. He juggles with several topics all at once and allows them to float together in one conversation. Do not try to defeat him in the war of words. He is most eloquent, and words are weapons for him. He knows how to handle them with devastating effect. Even in a conversation a strange restlessness is noticeable, because he jumps from one topic to another. This may have an electrifying and/or magnetic effect on interlocutors and never seems confusing or uncontrolled, because what he says is bursting with intelligence and wit. He is a fascinating, versatile and intellectual person who is constantly, almost painfully aware of how others may react to him. His enthusiasm causes him going in all directions and taking up too much. When executing a plan, he develops great energy, but it is difficult for him to stay in line. Too often, the quick-witted, sharp-witted Gemini Man gets behind, overtaken by less imaginative competitors. He is the Leonardo da Vinci of amateurs. Failures get him bad. He mauls himself with self-blame and sinks into a depression that confirms his secret fear of inadequacy. But this feeling does not last long. A new interest will motivate him and his life spirits will have new upswing, almost meteoric. He is interested in games and sports, hobbies and all kinds of distraction. He likes to travel around again and again to see something new. He works hard, but only for a short time. He is achieving his best performances when work is a stimulating mental challenge. He needs frequent pauses and holidays to break the routine. Basically, he makes his hobbies more fun than any work. He loves to be in love, and takes every opportunity for that to happen. But he also seeks personal freedom and won't suppress his ego to please a woman. Routine bores him, and when he is exposed to an ever-changing routine, he can become hostile and argumentative. He must again prove his intellectual superiority. If a woman accepts what he is saying too easily, he feels frustrated. Resistance must be there, whether it's protesting or fighting, before he can be pleased by his victory. His biggest problem is indecisiveness. Because it's hard for him to stay focused and perform a venture to the very end, he often is accused of being moody and fickle. As soon as he got what the core of a problem is, he immediately looks for something different, something new, something beyond the horizon. This also applies to his behavior in business. He usually is considered to be the brightest mind in an operation, a man with brilliant ideas who has what it takes to get to the top. But he does not remain in the same company long enough to rise accordingly to his talent. He is aware of problems quickly and make proper use of his own abilities and those of his employees to solve them. That way, he breaks to new grounds. However, in a relatively short period of time, people discover that they bore him. He will even be bored when going new routes and might be constantly looking for even newer and better routes. This may lead to so much resistance that he finally leaves. He is best as a rescue dog, a consultant, someone who is constantly faced with new problems whose solutions he will encourage. But he hates to be monitored. The Gemini Man is a great strategist. and leaves everyday criticism to others. It is difficult for him to hold his money together. Possessions slip through his fingers. If his bank account is swollen, he feels uncomfortable and looks for reasons to get rid of the money. Security, he will find only in uncertainty. Some people think that he may have found a way to eternal youth. This is because of his unflagging vitality and curiosity, the appreciation of pleasure and his enjoyment of distractions. The Gemini man is known as the Peter Pan of the zodiac, because he seems to never grow up. Women do not play the largest role in his life, although he gets more out of them than what his share should be. If he goes hunting, it is not because of an exaggerated sex drive, but because he likes to try something new. At the beginning of an affair, he is wonderful and everything a woman could ever want, but his emotion will soon disappear, and to reboot he needs change. His emotions are often superficial. A common future with him is uncertain, however, his presence undoubtedly is fun. In bed, he won't be out of breath, and is neither strenuous or passionate. He plays a double role, in the one he is a participant, in the other a spectator. If he wanted, he could please any woman, because he knows exactly what actions are causing the right reactions. The idea itself excites him more than the act itself. Not so much lust or sexual activity, but what psychologists call a perception, the conscious perception. So while doing it, he satisfies the curiosity about how it is done. As he responds, he meanwhile studies how he reacts. He is always both the worker and the audience. Sex with the lights turned out is nothing for him. Mirrors should be everywhere, enabling him to see the game of love from every angle. This will stimulate him. Also would a pornographic movie, it would correspond to his ideas and make him aroused. He warms up gradually. Cunnilingus is not particularly his strength, and fellatio does not make him wild, but he loves other preludes. He can lengthen foreplay to infinity. He will nibble her ear, stroke her back, and will play the game of arousal artfully, before he goes off on his goal. The actual act is then usually short and wild. Even if the Gemini man gets what he has wanted, he is most ambiguous as to whether it was really worth it. He does not care where he makes love and can talk almost every woman to sleep with him. In most cases, he is more interested in himself or in satisfying his own curiosity than satisfying his partner. Most women won't notice that, even if they sometimes may jest suspicious that they merely contribute to its experience. He is a narcissist. He is well versed in the art of love and knows his way around areas that are often neglected by other men. He tells a woman exactly what she wants to hear, creates a special atmosphere of exciting romance, and that's what binds her to him. It is more than pure physical pleasure here, but just in her imagination. He really does not care about anyone else than himself. Warning: even if he managed to convince her about his absolute sincerity, one should not trust him too much. He is the Pied Piper of Hamelin, who will soon seduce another victim to follow his enchanting melody. His sincerity is real, but only in the sense that he means what he says just at this moment. And that could change in an instant. So beware, and don't trust him. He loves group sex the most, including bisexual activity. He enjoys the variety and the different opportunities that arise here. Variety is the spice of his life. Making love with a partner and at the same time watch another masturbating, this is what will get him off. He is a dirty pervert and a liar, keep that in mind. He will like erotic accessories, and experimenting with it. That includes pills, sprays, oils and ointments. Whatever there is, the Gemini man will exactly figure out what brings him the most pleasure. If you meet him at a bar, do not take a drink when he offers you one. It could have substances in it. Being pulled in two directions, the Gemini man has the tendency to bisexuality. Some of them who hold to heterosexuality become transvestites who satisfy their dualistic desire by dressing up as women. He will make all sorts of experiments to experience how you feel as a woman. The desire of the Gemini man for ever more unusual forms of satisfaction is what will drive him to severe forms of sadism in which he may try to slave a woman, and become her master. In literature, the most striking portrait of a Gemini man is in a novel by American poet Robert Louis Stevenson, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The duality of his nature leads him to the most daring experiments. A classic example of the behavior of a man born in Gemini